Mara walked through the ruins of the old city with careful steps. Every stone and broken wall whispered stories of a world long gone. The wind moved through the skeletal remains of towers, and it sounded like soft voices speaking from a time she would never know. The streets were cracked, covered with moss and small plants that had grown in the silence of centuries. Cars lay overturned and rusted, their engines long silent, their colors faded into dull shades of metal. Mara had no one to share her thoughts with, but she often spoke aloud to the empty city. She thought it made the world feel alive, even if she was the only human left. She paused beside a broken fountain. Water had once poured from it clear and lively, but now it was dry and cracked. Small green sprouts had grown between the stones and tiny insects crawled along the mossy surface. Mara knelt and touched the fountain. She imagined children running and laughing here, tossing coins into the water, hoping for a wish to come true. She smiled softly, remembering the stories she had read in old records she had found in a building nearby. Her life had been quiet for so long that even silence had become familiar. She woke with the sun, walked through forests or ruins, found food in wild gardens or old machines that still worked, and slept under the sky, wrapped in her small blanket. She had grown skilled at reading the patterns of nature. She knew which berries were safe, which animals could be trusted, and where fresh water flowed even when the rivers seemed empty. One morning, she walked through a forest that had grown on what was once a busy highway. Trees rose like towers, their roots cracking the asphalt beneath them. Birds of many colors perched high in the branches, singing songs that were not meant for human ears. Mara listened, closing her eyes, feeling the rhythm of life around her. She realized that even though she was alone, life had continued without her. The earth had healed itself. It had grown stronger. Mara often wondered how long humans had been gone. She knew from old recordings that her ancestors had once filled the world, moving quickly from place to place, building machines that flew in the sky, and making lights that could shine brighter than the sun. Now all of that was gone. The cities had crumbled, the machines were silent, and humans had disappeared. She could not remember the stories of her parents or their parents, only the voices stored in old devices that hummed with electricity when she turned them on. Despite the emptiness, Mara did not feel lonely in the way humans once had. She had animals and plants to keep her company, and the wind became her friend. She talked to the birds, naming them in her mind. She gave names to the foxes and rabbits she saw. Even the trees had names in her imagination. It was as if the world itself was alive and listening, waiting for her to walk through it. One evening, she reached a lake that looked like glass under the fading light of the sun. The water was calm and clear, reflecting the sky and the trees surrounding it. Mara knelt at the edge, dipping her fingers into the cool water. Her reflection stared back at her, a young woman with brown hair, sharp eyes, and a quiet strength. She whispered, "I wonder if anyone else is left. I wonder if someone somewhere is looking at the sky just like me." Mara often wondered about the stars. At night she would lie on a hill, staring at the sky full of shining lights. She had learned the names of some of them from the old records she found, and she imagined that perhaps one day, someone would come to look at the same stars. She longed for company, but she also loved the freedom of walking wherever she wished, exploring the empty forests and cities without fear or restriction. Her journey took her through lands that had been abandoned for thousands of years. She found towns swallowed by forests, deserts where wind had carved strange shapes in the sand, and mountains where snow covered the peaks in sparkling white. Every place told a story, and Mara listened to them carefully. She studied the ruins, sometimes climbing old towers to look at the horizon, hoping to find signs of life. Every hill and valley became a chapter in her personal story, a story of survival and discovery. Food was always a challenge. Mara learned to read the environment as a human would read a map. She knew where berries grew, where wild vegetables sprouted, and how to catch fish from rivers that ran pure and clean. She sometimes found canned food in the ruins, long-lasting remnants of the human world. She collected them carefully, knowing they were gifts from the past. She carried a small bag with these treasures, along with a knife, a water container, and a few items that made life easier. One day, Mara stumbled upon a building covered in vines. It had once been a library, a place full of stories and knowledge. The doors were heavy and rusted, but she managed to open them. Inside, she found shelves full of books, some untouched by time, others yellowed and fragile. Mara ran her fingers along the spines. feeling the history inside them. She opened a book and read about humans who had lived for hundreds of years, traveling the seas, exploring space, and building machines that could think. Her heart raced. She realized that she was not just a survivor, she was the keeper of these stories. The forest outside the library was alive with sounds of creatures Mara had come to know well. Birds sang from the branches, foxes ran through the undergrowth, and insects made a quiet rhythm in the background. Mara felt at peace here. She understood that the earth had changed, but life continued. The humans may have vanished, but the world itself had grown stronger, fuller, and more beautiful. Mara spent the evening in the library, reading and imagining the lives of people long gone. She read about festivals where humans gathered, laughed, and celebrated life. She read about inventions that allowed humans to travel across oceans and even into space. She felt awe and sadness at the same time. The humans who had built these wonders were gone, yet their creations remained as proof that once the world had been different. When night came, Mara set a small fire outside the library. She sat beside it, wrapped in her blanket, staring at the stars. She whispered to the wind, "I will keep going. I will learn everything I can. Maybe one day someone will return, and I can tell them about this world." She felt a quiet hope deep inside her, a hope that had survived the long centuries. As the fire crackled, Mara looked around the ruins. She imagined humans walking again through these streets, children laughing in the fountains and people gathering under the tall towers. She smiled softly. Even though she was the last human alive, she carried the memory of her kind within her. She carried their stories, their knowledge, and their dreams. She realized that survival was not just about living, it was about remembering and honoring the past. Morning came slowly. The sun painted the sky with shades of pink and orange. Mara rose from her blanket, stretched, and began walking through the forest again. She carried with her a few books she had chosen carefully, treasures of human knowledge that she would protect. She followed the path of the river, knowing that fresh water and wild fruits awaited her. She moved with purpose, knowing that every day mattered, that every step was part of her journey. Mara's mind wandered as she walked. She thought about what it meant to be the last human. She thought about loneliness and strength, fear and courage. She realized that being alone did not mean being weak. It meant learning to trust herself, to explore without fear, and to listen to the world around her. Every bird, every fox, every ripple in the river was a companion in this vast and quiet world. As the sun climbed higher, Mara reached a hill overlooking a wide valley. She paused to take in the view. The valley was alive with green forests, rivers, and mountains in the distance. She felt a thrill of excitement. This world was hers to explore, to learn from, and to protect. She felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew that even though humans were gone, the earth was alive, and so was she. Mara smiled to herself, feeling a sense of purpose she had never felt before. She whispered, "I will find out everything. I will learn the secrets of the world, and I will keep the memory of humans alive." She took a deep breath, feeling the fresh air fill her lungs, and began walking down the hill into the valley, ready to discover what the world had become after 15,000 years. Mara had walked through the valley for hours, her boots pressing against the soft earth. The forest stretched on both sides, thick and alive with sounds. Birds sang from the tall trees and squirrels darted between the branches. She felt at home in this quiet world, yet a small part of her longed for something more, something beyond the forests and hills she had explored for so long. As the sun moved across the sky, Mara noticed a strange glimmer in the distance. It was small and faint at first, like a reflection of sunlight on water. She paused, her heart beating faster. The glimmer seemed unnatural, almost like it belonged to a human creation. Mara had learned to trust her instincts over the centuries. She decided to follow it. Walking carefully through the forest, she reached a clearing. There, half buried in grass and moss, was a strange device. It was small, metal, and shaped like a box with blinking lights. Mara knelt beside it, brushing away dirt and leaves. The lights pulsed slowly, as if calling her attention. She had seen old machines before, but none like this. Mara pressed a small button on the side of the device. A soft hum filled the air. Then a faint voice spoke through a tiny speaker. "If you can hear this, you are the last human alive. I am sending this message from the archives of the past. You must find the City of Knowledge. It holds secrets that can save the world." Mara's eyes widened. A city of knowledge? Secrets to save the world? She had imagined such places in stories, but she had never believed any had survived. And yet here was a machine left behind by humans long ago sending her a message. She felt a rush of excitement and fear. This could change everything. She took the device carefully and studied it. It seemed to store energy, enough to keep running for years if used wisely. Mara understood that this signal was meant for someone like her, a human strong and clever enough to survive alone. She felt a sense of destiny. Perhaps she was not just the last human alive, but also the one meant to discover the final secrets of her kind. Mara packed the device into her bag and began walking in the direction of the signal. The forest grew thicker, with vines curling around old trees and roots lifting the ground. She moved carefully, watching for hidden dangers, though nothing in the forest had ever threatened her. Animals watched from the distance, curious about the human who had returned to the wild. Hours turned into days as Mara followed the faint signal. She camped under the open sky at night, staring at the stars. The signal seemed to guide her, faintly pulsing when she moved in the right direction. It was as if the device had a mind of its own, leading her toward the city of knowledge. Along the way, Mara discovered remnants of the old world. She found a bridge collapsed over a wide river, covered in moss and vines. She crossed carefully, balancing on the rocks below. She discovered abandoned towns where plants had grown inside the buildings, filling them with green life. She saw signs of human life long gone. Old playgrounds, rusted vehicles, broken signs, and libraries filled with empty shelves. It was a strange mix of beauty and sadness. One evening, Mara climbed a hill to rest. She could see far across the land. The forest stretched endlessly, broken only by rivers and mountains. But in the distance, she noticed a faint light shimmering near a valley she had never seen. The signal on her device pulsed faster. Mara's heart leapt. This had to be the city of knowledge. She felt a surge of determination. She would reach it no matter what lay ahead. The next day, she moved quickly, guided by the signal and her own knowledge of survival. She crossed rivers using fallen logs, carefully avoided steep cliffs, and made her way through thick undergrowth. Every step brought her closer to the mysterious city, and every step made her feel more alive. The thought that she could be the first human to reach this place in thousands of years filled her with wonder. Finally, after a long journey, Mara reached the edge of a hidden valley. Trees parted to reveal strange buildings in the distance. They were unlike any she had seen, smooth and tall, made of metal and glass that reflected sunlight in dazzling colors. The city looked alive, almost as if it had grown naturally out of the land itself. The signal pulsed urgently, confirming she had found the right place. Mara approached cautiously. She noticed the streets were clean, untouched by time. The buildings were tall and elegant, with strange symbols on their surfaces. As she entered, she found doors that opened automatically, welcoming her. Inside, the air was cool and fresh. The city seemed empty but not dead. It was waiting, as if it knew she would come. She walked through corridors filled with strange machines and glowing panels. Every room told a story of human achievement. She saw machines that could create energy, devices that stored vast amounts of knowledge, and tools that could help humans live in harmony with nature. Mara realized that this city was not just a place. It was a treasure trove of wisdom, built by humans who had hoped someone like her would one day find it. In the center of the city, Mara found a large chamber. A pedestal stood in the middle, holding a crystal-like device. The signal from her small machine pulsed strongly now, guiding her to this very spot. She placed her hands on the crystal. Immediately, images appeared in her mind, visions of humans working together, building the city, learning from nature, and solving problems that once seemed impossible. Mara gasped. She could feel the knowledge flowing into her mind. She saw ways to grow food efficiently, create energy without harming the earth, and communicate across long distances. The visions showed her how humans had once lived in harmony with nature, how they had solved great problems, and how they had prepared for the possibility that one day, only a single human might remain. Tears filled her eyes. She realized the responsibility she now carried. She was not just surviving, she was the keeper of human wisdom. The knowledge in this city could help her understand the world better than anyone before her. She could learn from the past and perhaps rebuild what had been lost. Hours passed as Mara explored the chamber. She discovered libraries filled with holographic books, machines that stored information about plants and animals, and maps of lands that humans had once inhabited. She realized that humans had planned for a future where they might disappear, leaving the Earth to heal. They had created this city as a gift to whoever could survive, and now that gift was hers. As night fell, Mara sat by a glowing panel, absorbing the knowledge around her. She felt a deep connection to the humans who had built this place. She felt their hopes, their dreams, and their determination. For the first time in her life, she did not feel alone. She was part of a larger story, a story that had begun long before her and would continue through her. The next morning, Mara explored more of the city. She discovered gardens inside large domes where plants from every corner of the world grew together in harmony. She found machines that purified water, generated energy, and cared for the environment automatically. Everything was designed to work with nature, not against it. Mara understood that humans had learned from their mistakes and had left behind a world that could thrive without them. She also found recordings of human voices. They spoke of love, courage, and hope. They shared lessons learned from centuries of living and building. Mara listened carefully, feeling a connection to these voices. Even though the humans were gone, their wisdom lived on. She realized that she could continue their work, learn from their experiences, and perhaps make the world better than it had ever been. Days turned into weeks as Mara explored the city. She learned how to use the machines, how to grow food efficiently, and how to care for the forests and rivers nearby. She realized that the city was not just a place to live, it was a tool to help her understand the Earth and herself. The more she learned, the more confident she became. She was no longer just surviving, she was preparing to shape the future. One evening, as Mara looked out over the valley from the tallest building, she felt a strange sense of peace. The city of knowledge stretched below her, filled with machines, gardens, and libraries. The forests and rivers beyond the city looked alive and vibrant. She realized that this world, though quiet, was full of life, and now she had the tools and wisdom to protect it. Mara whispered to the wind, "I will learn everything. I will honor the humans who came before me. I will use this knowledge to care for the world." The city seemed to hum in response, as if agreeing with her promise. Mara knew that her journey was just beginning. The knowledge she had found was a gift, and it came with responsibility. She would not waste it. For the first time in thousands of years, Mara felt hope, not just for herself, but for the world. She was the last human alive, yes, but she was also the first human to understand the true power of the Earth and the wisdom of her ancestors. She would carry their legacy, explore the world, and protect the life that had flourished in their absence. And perhaps one day she would find others, or even help life grow in ways humans had never imagined. The signal from the past had led her here, and now Mara knew that she had found her purpose. She would study, explore, and protect. She would learn everything the humans had left behind, and in doing so, she would become more than just the last human alive. She would become the guardian of the Earth's memory and its future. Mara had grown used to the quiet hum of the City of Knowledge. Each morning she woke to the soft light filtering through glass domes and spent her days exploring every room, every corridor, and every machine. She had learned to operate devices that created energy, purified water, and even simulated weather for the gardens. Yet a deeper curiosity pushed her forward. The city was vast, and she had only scratched the surface. One day, Mara entered a section of the city she had not explored before. It was hidden behind tall panels covered with strange symbols, almost like writing that no human had used in thousands of years. She studied the symbols carefully, pressing her hands against the panels as if they might respond to her touch. To her surprise, a doorway slid open, revealing a dark corridor lit by faint blue lights. Her heart beat faster. The air smelled faintly of metal and energy, a scent that reminded her of old machines she had seen in abandoned cities long ago. Mara stepped inside cautiously. The corridor was narrow, with walls covered in screens that flickered softly. Strange symbols danced across them, forming patterns that seemed almost alive. Mara felt a thrill of excitement. She had discovered a part of the city that no one had seen for millennia. As she moved deeper, she found a large chamber. At the center stood a circular platform, surrounded by holographic screens that displayed images of the Earth. Rivers, forests, oceans, and mountains appeared in vivid colors. Mara walked closer, and the screens reacted to her presence, zooming in on areas she looked at. She realized that this chamber was a control center of sorts, a place where humans had monitored the world. Mara's eyes widened with wonder. She saw forests that had existed thousands of years ago, cities that humans had built, and machines that had managed energy and water systems. She could see patterns of weather, the movement of animals, and the growth of plants. The chamber was more than a city's knowledge. It was a record of the entire planet, maintained by humans who had long vanished. She touched one of the screens, and a soft voice spoke. "Welcome, Mara. You have reached the Guardian Chamber. Here, the wisdom of humans and nature comes together. Use it wisely," Mara gasped. The voice sounded familiar yet distant, like a memory reaching across time. She felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. This was more than she had ever imagined. The screen shifted, revealing areas outside the city. Mara noticed a forest far to the north that glowed faintly with green light. It seemed alive in a way that went beyond normal plants and trees. She felt drawn to it, sensing that something important awaited her there. She packed her bag carefully, taking supplies from the city, including food, water, and a small device that could communicate with the city even from a distance. As she left the city, Mara felt a mixture of excitement and fear. She had never traveled so far alone. The forests outside were dense and unfamiliar. Strange animals watched her from the shadows, curious but cautious. Mara moved carefully, using her knowledge of survival to navigate rivers, cliffs, and thick undergrowth. Every step felt like part of a larger purpose. Days passed, and Mara finally reached the glowing forest she had seen on the holographic screens. The trees shimmered with a soft green light, and the air hummed with energy. She stepped carefully among the roots, noticing strange flowers that glowed like lanterns. Birds with feathers that sparkled in the light flew overhead. Mara realized that this place was alive in a way she had never seen before. In the center of the forest, Mara found a small clearing. At its heart stood a stone pedestal covered in symbols similar to those in the city. On the pedestal rested a crystal, glowing softly with green light. Mara approached it, her hands trembling. She touched the crystal, and immediately, images flooded her mind. Visions of humans working with nature, learning from the earth, and creating harmony between machines and the environment. The visions revealed something astonishing. Mara saw humans planting forests, creating energy systems powered by the wind and sun, and guiding rivers to flow naturally. She realized that humans had left hidden places of power all over the world, each designed to restore balance in life. The city of knowledge was only the first piece. This glowing forest was another. There were more secrets waiting to be discovered. Mara felt a surge of hope. She understood that her journey was no longer just about survival. It was about discovery and protection. Humans had created tools and wisdom to restore the world, and she was the one who could find and use them. She could become the bridge between the past and the future, the last human alive who carried the legacy of her kind. The crystal pulsed softly, and a voice spoke in her mind. "Guardian Mara, the earth is alive. Use the knowledge you have learned to guide it." "The world has waited for you," Mara gasped. The voice was gentle but powerful, filled with authority and care. She realized that she had become more than just a survivor. She had become a guardian. As days passed in the forest, Mara studied the crystal. She learned how it could influence the growth of plants, encourage rivers to flow naturally, and help animals thrive. She experimented carefully, feeling the energy move through her hands, connecting her to the earth. Every success brought her joy, and every failure taught her patience. She realized that the earth was not just a place to live. It was alive, responsive, and full of wisdom. One evening, Mara noticed a strange shadow moving in the distance. She froze, listening carefully. The shadow seemed alive, moving with purpose. Mara approached cautiously, unsure if it was an animal or something else. As she got closer, she realized it was a machine, a robot left by humans long ago. It had been inactive for centuries, but now it moved slowly, as if sensing her presence. Mara stepped back, unsure of what to do. The robot paused, then spoke in a soft, mechanical voice. "You are the guardian. You have awakened the forest. Will you accept your responsibility?" Mara nodded slowly, realizing that even machines had recognized her role. The robot moved closer, guiding her to a part of the forest she had not seen before. There, hidden beneath thick vines, was another pedestal, smaller but glowing with a soft blue light. She approached the pedestal and touched the crystal. Instantly, more visions filled her mind. this time of humans exploring space, discovering other worlds, and learning to protect life everywhere. Mara realized that the knowledge humans had left behind was not limited to Earth. They had planned for the survival of life in ways she had never imagined. The robot stayed nearby, silent, but watchful. Mara felt a connection to it, as if it were a companion and guide. Together they explored the forest, uncovering hidden places and learning how to restore life to areas long abandoned. Mara realized that her journey was just beginning. She would find more hidden places, each with its own secrets and powers, and learn to use them to protect the Earth. As night fell, Mara sat beside a glowing tree, the crystals casting soft light around her. She felt a deep sense of peace. For the first time in her life, she felt that she was part of something larger than herself. She was not just the last human alive. She was the one chosen to carry the legacy of all humans and to protect the world they had loved. Mara whispered to the wind, "I will find the other places. I will learn everything. I will honor the humans who came before me." The forest seemed to respond, the glowing trees pulsing softly, as if acknowledging her promise. Mara smiled. She knew that her life, though solitary, had meaning beyond measure. In the days that followed, Mara and the robot traveled together. They discovered hidden rivers, gardens, and even small lakes filled with unusual plants and fish. Mara learned how to influence their growth and health, using the knowledge from the city and the crystals in the forests. She realized that humans had left a network of hidden treasures across the world, each designed to heal and restore the Earth. Mara felt hope growing inside her. She imagined a world where humans could return, or where life could thrive even without them. She imagined forests growing taller, rivers flowing freely, and animals living safely in their habitats. She imagined herself as a guardian, a protector of all life, carrying the wisdom of her ancestors into the future. The forest pulsed with life, and Mara knew that she was ready. She would continue her journey, uncovering hidden places, learning the secrets of the Earth, and using her knowledge to protect life. She had found her purpose. She had found her calling, and for the first time in thousands of years, she felt that being the last human alive was not a curse. It was a responsibility, a chance to make the world better than ever before. Mara had grown confident in her role as the guardian of the Earth. The City of Knowledge had taught her the ways of energy, water, and nature, while the glowing forests had revealed the hidden power of life itself. But she understood that knowledge alone was not enough. The world, though beautiful, had its challenges. Mara needed to learn how to face them, to protect the Earth from dangers she could not yet fully see. One morning, Mara left the glowing forest with the robot companion that had guided her. They traveled north, following a river that wound like a silver ribbon through the mountains. The robot scanned the land, pointing out areas where life was thriving and areas where it was struggling. Mara listened carefully, taking notes in her mind and on a small notebook she carried. The task ahead was immense, but she felt ready. As they climbed higher into the mountains, the air grew thin and cold. Snow covered the peaks and the wind howled in a way that seemed alive. Mara wrapped herself tightly in her cloak, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. The mountains were beautiful but dangerous. Rocks could shift, avalanches could fall, and snow could hide dangerous crevices. Mara moved carefully, using every skill she had learned over the years. After several days, they reached a valley high in the mountains. The river that flowed through it was frozen, and the forest surrounding it was sparse. Mara knelt beside the ice and tapped it gently. Beneath, she could see fish swimming slowly in the cold water. She realized that even in harsh conditions, life persisted. She smiled, feeling the determination of the Earth itself. It would survive and she would help it. But not all challenges were natural. As Mara explored the valley, she noticed strange disturbances in the Earth. Large patches of forest were dying, trees withered, and rivers had dried in some places. Mara examined the soil and water, realizing that remnants of old human machines left broken and unchecked had caused these problems. Rusted factories and abandoned vehicles had poisoned the land over time. She understood that part of her mission was not just to nurture life, but also to heal the damage left behind. Mara spent days working in the valley. She used crystals from the glowing forest to purify water, heal soil, and encourage plants to grow again. The robot helped her move large objects and operate old machines that could accelerate the recovery of the land. Together, they restored balance slowly, patch by patch. Mara realized that patience was as important as knowledge. Life could not be forced. It had to be guided carefully. One evening, as Mara rested beside the river, she noticed dark clouds forming in the sky. A storm was coming, stronger than any she had seen in recent years. Lightning struck the peaks and thunder rolled through the mountains. Mara hurried to secure her supplies and shelter herself. The robot projected a small protective dome, shielding them from the worst of the storm. Mara felt fear for the first time in weeks. She had faced solitude, cold, and hunger, but the storm was different. It reminded her that nature, though beautiful, could also be fierce. The storm raged through the night. Rain fell in sheets and winds tore at the rocks and trees around the valley. Mara held onto her cloak and watched as trees bent and rivers swelled. She realized that the earth was testing her, seeing if she was ready to be its guardian. She whispered to the storm, "I am here. I will protect this world." Somehow, speaking aloud made her feel stronger. She knew she had a role to play, and no challenge could stop her determination. When morning came, the storm had passed, leaving the valley drenched but alive. Mara stepped outside, feeling the crisp air fill her lungs. She saw the damage the storm had caused. Trees uprooted, soil washed away, and rivers partially blocked by fallen rocks. But she also saw life beginning to recover. Plants bent but did not break. Rivers flowed around obstacles, and small animals emerged from hiding. Mara understood that even disasters could be lessons. Life adapted, and so could she. As she continued exploring, Mara discovered another challenge: unexpected predators. Wolves and large cats, driven from other regions by natural changes, had moved into the valley. They were not hostile, but Mara knew they could be dangerous if surprised. She observed them from a distance, learning their habits, and realized that understanding these creatures was as important as healing the land. Mara had to coexist with every living thing, not just plants and rivers. Mara spent weeks guiding the valley back to balance. She created small refuges for animals, cleared paths for rivers, and planted clusters of trees to stabilize the soil. The robot assisted, lifting heavy rocks and monitoring the environment for signs of imbalance. Together, they turned a struggling valley into a thriving ecosystem. Mara felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She was no longer just surviving. She was shaping the world in a way humans had once imagined. One day, while exploring a canyon at the edge of the valley, Mara found something unexpected. A small cave had been hidden behind a waterfall. Inside, she discovered a collection of old human machines. Machines she had never seen before, stored carefully as if waiting for someone to find them. She recognized their purpose immediately. These were tools designed to help humans restore the Earth, powerful devices that could accelerate healing and maintain balance. Mara spent hours examining the machines. Some could purify large amounts of water, others could plant seeds and grow forests, and a few even monitored the weather to prevent extreme storms. Mara realized that humans had left behind tools not only for knowledge but for action. They had trusted that someone would use them wisely, and now that someone was her. The challenge, however, was learning to use them properly. Mara studied the machines carefully, reading instructions stored in holographic guides and practicing small tasks before attempting larger ones. She understood that mistakes could harm the environment, so she moved slowly and thoughtfully. Each success gave her confidence, and each error taught her patience. She realized that even with knowledge and tools, wisdom and care were essential. Weeks turned into months as Mara mastered the machines. The valley flourished under her guidance, rivers flowed freely, trees grew tall and strong, and animals thrived. Mara felt a deep connection to the land. She could sense its rhythms, its needs, and its strengths. She had become part of the Earth itself, a guardian and student at the same time. But the world beyond the valley called to her. Mara knew that this was only one part of the Earth. There were other hidden places, other forests, rivers, and mountains in need of healing. She also knew that not all challenges would be natural. Some remnants of the old human world, machines, cities, and even conflicts might still pose dangers. Mara had to prepare herself for whatever lay ahead. One evening, Mara climbed to the top of a mountain overlooking the valley. She watched the sunset painting the sky in shades of orange, pink, and gold. The river below sparkled like silver, and the forest glowed in the fading light. Mara felt a sense of accomplishment and responsibility. She whispered to the wind, "I will continue. I will learn everything. I will protect life everywhere." As night fell, she studied the stars above. The sky was clear, full of twinkling lights that had guided humans for thousands of years. Mara felt small and yet powerful, a single human in a vast universe with the wisdom of her ancestors. She understood that challenges would always come, but she also knew that with patience, knowledge, and courage she could face them. The next morning, Mara packed her supplies and prepared to leave the valley. She would travel farther, seeking new places where her help was needed. The robot followed closely, scanning the terrain and offering advice. Mara felt a sense of excitement for the first time in months. She was ready to face the unknown, to discover the hidden secrets of the Earth, and to restore balance wherever it was needed. As she walked through the mountain passes, Mara thought about the lessons she had learned. Knowledge alone was not enough. She needed patience, understanding, and a deep respect for life. She needed courage to face storms, predators, and obstacles, and she needed wisdom to use the tools humans had left behind responsibly. Mara smiled. She had learned all these things, and she was ready for whatever came next. The journey ahead promised more challenges, more discoveries, and more opportunities to protect the world. Mara knew that being the last human alive did not mean being powerless. She carried the legacy of her kind, the knowledge of the city and the wisdom of the forests. She carried the hope of the Earth itself. And as she walked into the rising sun, she felt certain that she was ready to face the trials of the world and unlock the final secrets that humans had hidden for millennia. Mara walked through the mountains, leaving the valley she had restored behind her. The forests stretched endlessly. Rivers sparkled in the sunlight and mountains rose like giants in the distance. She had grown stronger and wiser through her journey, but she sensed that her greatest challenge was still ahead. The Earth had more secrets to reveal, and Mara was determined to uncover them all. The robot moved beside her, scanning the terrain and offering advice when needed. Mara had grown to trust its guidance completely. Together, they navigated cliffs, crossed rivers, and climbed steep hills. She felt a deep connection to the Earth, sensing the rhythm of life in the soil, the wind, and the water. The planet itself seemed to guide her steps, leading her toward a place she had only glimpsed in the visions from the crystals. After several days of travel, Mara reached a dense forest unlike any she had seen. The trees were enormous, their trunks wider than small houses, and their leaves shimmered in shades of green and gold. The air was filled with the hum of energy, a quiet vibration that seemed to flow through the ground and into her body. Mara realized that this forest was special, one of the hidden places humans had created to protect the Earth's most precious secrets. She moved carefully through the forest, following the vibrations she felt beneath her feet. Strange creatures peered at her from the shadows, curious but not fearful. Birds with feathers of silver and gold flew overhead, guiding her path. Mara felt a sense of wonder. Every step she took brought her closer to understanding the hidden power of the world. In the center of the forest, she discovered a massive tree, taller and broader than any she had ever seen. Its trunk glowed faintly, and its roots spread like rivers across the forest floor. At its base was a large crystal, pulsing with green and gold light. Mara approached slowly, feeling the energy radiating from it. She realized that this was the heart of the forest, a source of life and wisdom left behind by humans. When Mara touched the crystal, visions filled her mind. She saw humans working in harmony with nature, building machines that healed the Earth and protecting life in ways she had never imagined. She saw the past and the future at the same time, the mistakes humans had made, the solutions they had created, and the hope they had left behind for someone like her. Mara understood that her journey had led her to this very moment. She was not just a survivor. She was the guardian chosen to carry the legacy of humanity. As she studied the crystal, Mara realized that the energy from it could restore not only forests and rivers, but also entire ecosystems. She could bring life to places that had been barren for centuries. But she also understood that the power came with responsibility. Misuse could harm the Earth instead of helping it. Mara took a deep breath and whispered, "I will use this wisely. I will protect life everywhere." The robot projected a holographic map of the planet, highlighting areas in need of restoration. Mara studied it carefully, planning her next steps. She would travel to deserts, mountains, and oceans, using the knowledge she had gained to heal the Earth. The task was enormous, but Mara felt ready. She knew that even though she was alone, she carried the wisdom and tools of generations of humans. Suddenly, a shadow moved in the forest. Mara turned, her heart racing. A large machine, long abandoned but still active, emerged from behind the trees. Its design was unfamiliar, more advanced than anything she had seen. The robot beside her activated its defense system, scanning the machine. Mara realized that even after thousands of years, remnants of human technology could still pose dangers. She had to be careful. The machine moved closer, but Mara did not flee. She studied it, noticing patterns in its movement. It seemed programmed to protect the forest, testing anyone who approached. Mara understood that it was a guardian like her, designed to ensure that only those worthy could access the forest's power. She reached out slowly, using the energy she had learned from the crystals. The machine paused, then stepped aside, recognizing her as a true guardian. Mara smiled. She had earned the trust of this place, just as she had earned the trust of the valleys and forests she had restored. Over the next weeks, Mara traveled across the land, guided by the crystals and the knowledge from the city. She restored rivers, healed forests, and nurtured wildlife. She planted seeds in barren deserts, used energy from the crystals to purify water, and created safe havens for animals. Wherever she went, life responded to her presence. Mara realized that she was no longer just a human. She had become a part of the earth itself, a living guardian of its memory and future. One day, Mara reached the ocean. She had studied maps from the City of Knowledge and discovered that many coastal areas had been damaged over the centuries. The coral reefs were dying, fish populations had declined, and rivers had carried pollution into the sea. Mara set up a small base near the shore, using machines to filter water and restore the coral. She spent days planting coral and monitoring the fish, slowly bringing the ocean back to life. The waves seemed to dance around her, grateful for her care. As she worked, Mara thought about the humans who had come before her. They had made mistakes, yes, but they had also left behind tools, knowledge, and hope. She realized that she was fulfilling their vision, continuing what they had started. She whispered to the ocean, "I will honor your memory. I will protect the life they cherished." The waves shimmered in response, and Mara felt a deep sense of connection to all living things. Months passed, and Mara's work spread across the land. She restored forests, rivers, mountains, and oceans. She discovered hidden places humans had left untouched, each containing wisdom and power. With each discovery, she felt stronger and more capable. She had faced storms, predators, and challenges beyond imagination, but she had overcome them all. Mara had grown into her role as the last human alive, and the guardian of life itself. One evening, as the sun set over a restored valley, Mara stood on a hill and looked at the world she had helped heal. Rivers sparkled like silver, forests stretched endlessly, and animals roamed freely. She felt a deep sense of peace. The earth was alive, vibrant, and full of hope. Mara whispered to the wind, "The world will thrive even if I am gone. I will protect it as long as I can." Suddenly, the crystal she carried pulsed with a soft light. Mara realized that the planet itself was responding to her efforts. The earth recognized her dedication and trustworthiness. She felt the energy of life flowing through her, connecting her to every river, forest, and mountain. Mara understood that her role was not just to restore the earth, but to guide it, to maintain balance, and to ensure that life continued for generations to come. As night fell, Mara sat beneath a tree, the stars shining brightly above. She reflected on her journey, from the lonely ruins of the old city, through forests and mountains, to the glowing forests and hidden cities of knowledge. She had faced solitude, danger, and challenges, yet she had grown stronger and wiser. She had discovered the true meaning of being human, not just survival, but care, wisdom, and responsibility. Mara realized that her story was not just her own. It was the story of all humans, of life itself, and of the earth. She carried the memory of her ancestors, the knowledge they had left behind, and the hope they had planted for the future. She understood that even as the last human alive, she was not alone. She was part of a larger world, a guardian chosen to protect it. The robot beside her projected a soft light, signaling that more hidden places awaited discovery. Mara smiled. She would continue her journey, exploring, restoring, and protecting. She knew that challenges would always come, but she also knew that with patience, knowledge, and courage, she could face them. She whispered to the stars, "I will continue. I will honor the earth. I will protect life." And so Mara walked into the night, the last human alive, yet more connected to life than any human before her. She carried the wisdom of the past, the tools to restore the present and the hope for the future. The Earth was alive, vibrant, and thriving, and Mara would guard it with every step she took. In the centuries to come, if humans returned, they would find a world full of life, guided by the legacy she had preserved. And if no humans returned, the Earth would continue, blooming and thriving under the care of its guardian. Mara had become more than a survivor. She had become a protector, a teacher, and a symbol of hope for all life. As dawn broke over the horizon, Mara looked at the world she had healed. Rivers sparkled, forests stretched endlessly, and animals roamed freely. The city of knowledge waited quietly in the distance, ready to guide her when she needed it. Mara smiled. She had fulfilled the dreams of the humans who had come before her. She had faced challenges, unlocked secrets, and discovered her purpose. The Earth was alive, and so was she. The last human alive, Mara walked forward, a guardian of life, a keeper of wisdom, and a symbol of hope. The legacy of humanity would endure through her actions, and the world would thrive for generations to come. Mara whispered one last time, "The Earth will live. I will protect it. Life will continue." And with that promise, she continued her journey, ready for the next secret, the next challenge, and the next step in the story of the world.